Hey everybody, and welcome to the latest episode of the Rock Experience with Mike Brunn. On this episode, I'm joined by guitarist Mark Tremonti, and he'll talk all about his new album that's just released, Marching in Time. Mark will also give us an update on what's going on with Alter Bridge, as well as his thoughts on a Creed reunion. There's lots in this episode, so let's jump in and let's get started. Awesome. So first, let me just start off by saying congratulations on your new album released today, Marching in Time. Is it just as exciting today as it was 25 years ago when you're releasing an album?
Absolutely. Yeah. Every record release day is like Christmas morning. So it's
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Now, how different was it for you recording this album during a pandemic compared to your previous times recording?
I had tons of time to really spend, look at each song, look under every nook and cranny in my, song ideas to make sure everything was completely polished before we went into the studio. So we had tons of time to make things just right.
Right. Now, sometimes I know artists will say sometimes spending too much time is not a good thing because you're tweaking things. And I remember talking to Brad Gillis and he's like, well, you're never done with something. At some point, you just have to say that's good enough and put it to
Yeah.
the side. Did you feel the time, though? In your case, it sounds like the time was beneficial to you.
I think you should kind of experiment with doing it both ways. Spending all the time in the world on something is a good exercise to do, as long and as well as doing it, capturing lightning in a bottle style. You're trying to do in the moment. It's good to do it both ways.
Yep, that makes sense. Now, how much did the events from the past year influence your songwriting this time around?
There's only one song that was influenced lyrically, and that was the title track. Everything else was just written like I normally would write. Just each song tells its own story, and with the world, whatever's going on in the world around you usually seeps into what you're writing, and that's what happened on the title track.
Yep, without a doubt. And I know some artists I've spoken to have said they feel like a little bit like they want to make sure with everything's gone on the last year that there's a bunch of happy songs. Others
Yeah.
feel angry over what's happened.
Yeah.
Did any, I know you said only one song is related on the last year, but did any of those kind of thoughts go through your mind during the songwriting?
Well, I just knew that I went to a dark mental place for about 5 months during the pandemic. I wasn't inspired to play much or write much. It wasn't good for me as a songwriter at that point. So once I kind of snapped out of it and got back into tackling this album, I had a renewed energy when I came back into it. Like almost like, yeah, this isn't going to hold me down this year. So it's kind of fighting to get out of that slump. This album was. So I kind of hear the excitement in the getting back into what we love to do on this record.
And now to that point, I know for the last, I guess, almost 2 months now, you've been releasing a single every couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And from what I've seen online, the feedback has been incredible so far from the fans. Do you keep on top of that feedback? Do you see any of that?
I get it from friends and family, and my brother will get on Facebook and tell me everything. And so I kind of get, like today, I can't really get on there too much because I'm
Sure.
so I'll just get text messages all day. Hey, congrats on the album. I'm here. Everybody is loving it. So far it's just been a pure positive response.
Yeah, and I'll tell you some of the things I've seen online today. Some people are saying it's the best album you've put out. If not the best, it's the second best, but it's right up there with the best things you've done. So that's been the initial feedback I've seen today.
That's great. That's, if you're not getting better, you're getting worse.
I guess that's true, right? So you mentioned the title track before, which to me is an epic 7.5 minute song. Just talk about writing that song and what it meant.
Yeah, that song was when I first started that song. I teach guitar clinics when I'm on tour, and I teach people how I approach songwriting. So that song was started at a guitar clinic,
Wow.
because I'm actually showing people how I'm writing in the moment in front of
Hmm.
people. So, all right, I'm going to write something right now, and I've got it all on. I've recorded that whole session where I began writing this song. So that song started there in front of a bunch of people, and then once I found out that I was going to be a father again during COVID, the lyrics naturally just came out of me trying to relate to my children. Don't let the world, as dark as it's become right now, change your disposition or change the way you look at the world. Because you can't turn on the TV without watching people shout at one another and
Hmm.
dis another. And so that song is just pretty much, yeah, telling your children, uh, live the way that we taught you, to live, be a giving, thoughtful person, and don't let this dark, cold world change you.
I have two kids myself, and you would think that would be simple enough, right, Mark? But it's
Yeah,
amazing what we've gone through for the last couple of years.
yeah,
Now, another song which I think is a standout, and it was one of the singles, "A World Away." Talk about that one for a moment.
yeah. That was one that kind of started with the chunky riffs. I started putting it together around that intro, and then the funny story behind that song is when I presented all the songs to my producer. That was one of his favorites.
Hmm.
And after we recorded the whole record, I was like, you know what? We need to, this would be a great leadoff track for the record, but a leadoff track without a guitar solo in it might get people
Right.
upset with me. So, so I had to write a solo for that record after the fact. After we had recorded all the rhythm tracks and everything else, I had to go back in and rewrite or write a solo to put on the end of that song. So that initially that song didn't have any solo.
Very interesting. Very
Yeah.
interesting. Now, like I said, there's four singles released so far. Besides those songs, let's put those to the side. What songs to you stand out on the album? Because to me, the album, as you listen to it, it gets strong and Under the Sun, Not Afford to Lose, and great melodic stuff towards the middle to the later part, great heavy stuff. But what songs stand out to you?
I think Let That Be Us is one of my
Mhm.
favorites. I thought that was a contender for first single, but
Hmm.
I just didn't get the feedback that I wanted for that one. So that's when I'm happy we went with If Not For You. I think that's one of my favorite songs on the record.
Hmm.
Um, Sometimes it's too bad you got to release singles, because I think if the record just came out and people just heard it all for the first time, If Not For You would probably be a song that people really gravitated towards.
Right.
Uh, but yeah, Under the Sun was a very important song for me. That's a song I actually wrote for the last Ultra Bridge record.
Okay.
And we just never had time to get into that one, so I saved it for this project. So I've been working on that one for a while.
No, very interesting. So most of the songs though on this album, were they newly written for the album?
Most of it, but some ideas are as old as 15 years.
Oh wow.
I keep ideas around until they find their partners to complete the song.
And which
uh,
which one's that? That's around 15 years.
Not Afraid to Lose. That
Oh wow.
chorus, the chorus of that song has been sitting sitting around for as long as I can remember, and it's always been one of my favorite to go back and listen to. So I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna get that song out there, because it would just be a shame. I've got this fear of being this little old man and seeing some of my favorite song ideas never see the light of day. So that was one of them. I'm like, all right, I got to get it out.
And that's so interesting for me to hear you say, because to me, you're a very prolific songwriter. I think it's something like what, 15 albums in the last 20 plus years that you put out. So I find it
Yeah.
amazing that you could still say that you have songs that are sitting there for 15 years that just wasn't finished, didn't have the right opportunity to be released.
Oh, there's tons of them, more than I can count. Not necessarily songs, but ideas of
Ideas,
stuff,
right? Do you,
beginnings.
yeah. Do you ever feel any pressure? Like, hey, I put out so much material. Where's the new idea going to come from? Or like you're saying, you have so many ideas that you never even worry about that.
No, I'm feeling the pressure right now. Every time I finish a record, I have to hit the ground running for the next record. And until I feel like I've got a big batch of great songs, I feel tons of pressure. So right now, I've just got bits and pieces. I don't have anything super concrete. So I'm trying to get to that point.
Sure, that makes sense. Now, I know the music business has changed a lot in the 10 years, and even more so from when you first, hit the scene with Creed 20, 25 years ago.
Yeah.
Back then it was platinum, or in your case, multi-platinum albums was a
Mhm.
sign of success. How do you measure success in 2021 where people aren't selling even 100,000 copies of vinyl or albums anymore?
Uh, I think it's just the stuff we've been talking about. People getting online and saying they enjoy the record, um, saying that it's their favorite record.
Hmm.
Saying saying that the band's evolving. Those kind of things is that's what you want to hear. You don't want to just say, "Hey, it's another record." It's just sounds like it's another Tremonti record. Sounds like other Tremonti records. I don't want to hear that.
Right, right. Now, in the past, I guess, couple of weeks, you've been able to get out on the road and do some live shows. What was that like for you after pretty much the last year and a half? I know you did one show earlier this year, I think, but for the most part, the last year and a half, there's been no shows. What was that like for you, finally getting out in front of an audience again?
Oh, it's great. Once you get the first couple shows under you, it's like riding a bike. It's like back to what we love. And I can see it in the crowds too. The crowds are just eager to get back out there. They're more open-minded to, like, you go to a festival nowadays and everybody wants to check out every band. It wasn't
Yep.
like that. It used to be like, I'm just going to go check out my two favorite bands and leave. Now everybody's they've missed it so much. They're going to be more open-minded to more music.
Yeah, no, I agree. I've been to a few concerts myself. I'm in New York, so I've been to a
Mm.
few concerts in the New York area, and people are just clamoring for that live music. They're anxious for bands to get back out there. I know it's a little tough for some bands right now with some of the COVID restrictions that are out there, but it's
Oh yeah,
exciting to see you and others out on the road again.
absolutely.
Yeah. So I know also you've been performing some of the new songs at these shows. How have they been going over with the crowd?
They've been going over great. It's of course, the single everybody's more familiar with that. What's that one goes well, and we play "Marching in Time" live, title track. So, for people who don't know who we are and they see us play a 7-minute song, it takes some doing, but it's been going over great.
That's awesome. And then tonight you have a live stream. It's your first ever live stream, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So,
And we probably wouldn't have done a live stream if we knew that the tour would be as successful as it's been. Because if we knew that we could play in front of people and videotape it, we would have done that. But to set up this live stream, it took months of preparation. So we had no idea what today would be like.
mhm. How do people get access to that live stream if they haven't already purchased it?
I think you can go to marchmoney.com or I don't. It's a good question to the best way to do it, but I'm sure you Google it anywhere and find it. But yeah, probably marchmoney.com would be the best place.
Right. And is this going to be, I'll say, just I hate to say a regular Tremonti show, or is it going to be like focused more on the album? What's the set list going to be like for the show?
It's going to be a mixture of all the records,
Awesome.
probably split up pretty evenly,
Mhm.
because we haven't performed all the new songs on this record in a live setting as of yet, other than the demo stage. So, I think we'll do as many as we can, make sound good.
Sure, that sounds great. Now, like you said, you're out on the road again. November, December, you have dates, I think, with Daughtry as well, right? So talk about the upcoming dates that you have.
Yeah, we go back out. I think our last date here is Louder Than Life Festival with Metallica, and then we go home for a month for Halloween, which is great because I got a 6-month-old daughter, and it's
Mhm.
first Halloween, so I'm going to be buying
Oh,
her
nice.
every day for the next month. And then we go back on tour, I think November 2nd or 3rd, with Travis Brocht, us, Seven Dust, Chris Daughtry, and which I like. I like that bill because it's not. When we're on tour with Seven Dust, a lot of this, we share a lot of the same fan base. When we go out with Travis Brocht and Chris Daughtry, there's going to be a lot of new people that don't know us. So it's going to be good. So that's going to be about a 5-week tour. And then we plan on going to Europe in January and February.
Oh, that's awesome. But I guess most important, Mark, do you have a Halloween costume for your daughter already?
I have tons of them. There's
Okay.
a lot. Yeah, I'm going to be dressing her up for the entire month.
That's awesome. That is awesome. Now, on the tour, you're going to also be doing VIP meet and greets where they could come and watch, the fans come and watch the sound check as well. So talk about that package for the fans.
Well, right now we can't use. Usually, we like to be much more involved and shake hands and take pictures and spend time, and we can't. So now people just kind of come out, we hang out with them, do a sound check kind of party, we call it, but we're pretty much sound checking with folks in the room, and we do our best to be able to talk with folks from the stage. We're not, we have to stay isolated. That's been one of the big rules. Before we hit this tour, we all had to sign paperwork because we've got insurance and we got all these things saying that if if there's, people going out to bars and get COVID, then, you're in trouble. So,
Sure.
It's, we play it safe as much as we can.
So, yeah, so I was going to ask you, what kind of restrictions do you have, even just for the tour, not even just the meet and greet? So it sounds like you had to sign a contract, because I've seen some bands, I think Joan Jett just this week had to cancel shows. We know the big Motley Crue tour was canceled this summer, right?
Yeah.
So yet other bands, Guns N' Roses, Kiss, there was the Green Day Weezer stadium tour that was around this summer. So it's been like this mixed thing where some people have to cancel shows and others have been able to go on almost like business as usual. So it's been hard as a fan to figure out why some can't go forward at all and others are going forward as if there's no pandemic.
Well, if there's a band member with COVID, you got to stop. If there's a crew member, you can hopefully replace that crew member for the time being. But yeah, I mean, if it's multiple guys in a band that are sick, you can't perform. I mean, it's not safe for other people to be around them. And imagine having a bad flu and getting on stage. It's just not happening.
Yeah, no, it's very tough. And obviously as a family person, you have to make sure that you're taking care of yourself, your family, and staying safe during these crazy times.
Absolutely.
Now, I know, I guess it's been what, about 10 years ago, 15 years ago, a while back ago, Wolfgang Van Halen actually performed with you guys, filled in on bass. Have you seen his show at all? I know he's out there touring with Guns N' Roses. Have you heard his album at all?
I love his album. Yeah, I've just seen clips online, and I'm so proud of him for what he's stepped up and done. And I haven't been able to see it in person, but I hope to be able to soon. Because I can't really, like I said, we're in our bubble. I can't go to concert. I was in Nashville last night, and Miles Kennedy was playing, and we can't really go see his concert. It's just a shame.
Right. That stinks. I don't even know what else to say. That stinks.
Yeah.
I remember once reading and hearing you say that in Wolfgang's case, that last name was both a blessing and a curse. And I totally understood what you were saying with that, right? Yeah. And I wonder, on a different point of view, but same type of thing, somebody like yourself who's had enormous success in the past with Creed, songs like Arms Wide Open, right? Do you see that as a blessing that, hey, I've not got this name recognition now? Or is it in some ways a curse that people expect you to every song be Arms Wide Open because that was the song everybody knew 20 years ago, was such a huge hit? How do you view that?
It's definitely both a blessing and a curse. It's a blessing because I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you right now if it weren't for Creed. I wouldn't have this career, this long career. But at the same time, for my entire life, I will be that guy from the band Creed.
Right.
And which is good and bad, because certain people loved Creed, certain people hated Creed. So no matter what I do artistically, I'm going to be the guy who was in Creed that, was at certain points, critics liked to come after us. So I've kind of lived both worlds. I was in the band that sold lots of records, but got some critical attacks. But I also got to be in the band that didn't sell as many records, but got critical praise. So I've got to see both sides of it, and it would be great to have it all in one, but it's tough.
Right. Yeah. So as a guitarist, though, that criticism maybe that you were getting while Creed was at their peak, how tough was that for you as a guitar player? And your stuff, when I play some of your solo stuff for people, I'm like, that's the guitarist from Creed. And they're like, damn, that stuff's heavy. I didn't realize that. So I think they're a little surprised. But how tough was that for you as a guitar player?
Any criticism's tough on you, but I think it made me stronger in the long run. It made me work harder. It made me try to prove myself every day. And, ever since Creed broke up, I've been on a mission to reestablish myself. And it's been quite a fight, but it's been worth, this is my passion. This is what I love to do. And I'm not just the type of guy to get a criticism and say, okay, I quit.
Right. Well, I think you've accomplished that because I can tell you how many times I see online, Mark's one of the best guitar players of the last 20 years, so whereas people maybe saw Creed one way, I think they've now view you a totally different way.
Awesome. Well,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah. So now mentioning Creed, I was very surprised a few weeks ago to see that there was talk that, hey, a reunion down the line in the future, maybe it's possible. Any thoughts on that from you?
Yeah, it's right. I tell people like right now it's almost impossible to do it. I've got a solo record coming out. I'm frantically trying to write another Alter Bridge record, and we have touring booked all through next year, all through next Christmas. So to do a Creed tour even be tough to jam it in. There's no, I leave it up to the people that run our business, from our managers to our agents to everybody involved. They are nice enough to let me be an artist and only present things that are doable when they are doable. And right now it's just not doable.
No, I think that totally makes a lot of sense. And you mentioned Alter Bridge. Any news? I spoke with Miles, I guess, about 5-6 months ago, and it sounded like there was going to be another Alter Bridge album coming, quote unquote.
Yeah.
You guys writing for that album now?
Yeah, I'm writing for that now, and it should be out next year. But I'll be in and out of the studio and then touring with me, and Miles will be touring with our respective bands in and out of those sessions.
Sure. Right. And I know he's, like you said, he's on the road right now also. So your new album, like we said, dropped today, and there's all different versions. Like there's different vinyl options, a CD available online. Are you a vinyl guy? Because vinyl's been like the big thing for the last few years.
I've gotten more and more into it. My wife bought me a record player a couple of years ago. I just never set it up, but I keep collecting vinyls. So I've got drawers full of vinyls. Even without playing them, I just love having them for some reason. They're just a blast from the past, cool thing to have. Like it's almost like a collector card or something, like a baseball card.
Yeah, to me, holding that and having the artwork on an album, there's nothing like that. As you don't get that when you download a song on the internet.
Oh yeah, and I've gotten much more into big band stuff recently. Like I'm really into that era, and so I've been buying a lot of those old records. And now that I've got my studio set up, I'm going to set up a place where I can get my record player going, put it through my PA, and have because everything sounds better on LP than it does on a digital platform.
I agree. I totally agree. So like we said, tonight you have the streaming concert, album out today. Anything else you want your fans to know about here, Mark?
I'm working hard on getting the Dying Machine book written again to get that re-released. But other than that, no, just look forward to touring for the next year on this album, and look out for an Alter Bridge record late next year.
That sounds great. And the show's coming November, December. Like you said, shows overseas next year. You'll be out on the road. If people haven't already checked out the album, go check it out. I can say it sounds great. I think all of your fans are going to absolutely love it. Mark, I want to thank you for taking some time with me today. I really appreciate it. And best of luck on the album, the show tonight, and the upcoming tour.
Great. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes. All righty. There you have it. I'd like to thank Mark for taking some time out of his release day press to sit and talk with me all about his new album. I think you guys are going to really like it. You should definitely go check it out. Thanks again, Mark. If you're watching this on YouTube, hit that subscribe button below. If you're listening to one of my podcasts, subscribe over there as well. Also, head on over to Facebook and follow my page, The Rock Experience with Mike Brunn, where each and every day we talk about all the rock and roll music that you love. You can also follow me on Instagram and Twitter as well. That's it for this episode. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. See you all next time.